Okay, welcome along to episode, I'm going to call this episode 4. Episode 3 was our feature-length Star Trek Next Generation 30th anniversary special. Yeah. We actually spoke for, we spoke for 3 hours, but only recorded 2 hours because of technical hiccups. 45 minutes in.
But the best stuff was in the missing hours.
We're calling this episode 4 A New Hope because we hope this one goes better.
Yeah. But if anybody is good at lip reading, we will release the silent video of the start of that podcast.
And it's in black and white.
So the topic of discussion for this particular episode is the Orville. Seth MacFarlane's new... what did you call it, Alan? What is it?
Love letter to TNG.
It's a love letter. You called it. You used it.
A dramedy.
A dramedy. It's not a comedy. It's not a full drama. It's Seth MacFarlane's mix. Yeah. We've just literally stood up from the TV. From watching it, Alan, for the first time. I watched it on the iPad earlier on during the week. A bit distractedly, so this was the first time I sat down and watched it in its entirety and saw some little scenes. It's his homage to the Next Generation. We know he's a big fan. It's a lovely ship. I like the aesthetic of the ship. Some parts of it, you could say, look like nostrils. There's these two things. It just, when I first saw it in the trailer, I thought, is this a joke? Because certain elements from a certain angle, it looks like you're looking up someone's nose. I wasn't sure if that was intentional because it is this dramedy, this comedy elements. And you were saying, Al, that the people, because the people who make the trailers don't necessarily make the show. So when when the promotional company that's hired to promote your show on on cable network, whatever, they watch the episodes and then take what they think is going to promote the show. And the promotional company that made the trailer really made it look like it was just a comedy show.
Yeah, I think they were probably operating off Seth MacFarlane's reputation as a basically he does Family Guy and American Dad and comedy stuff. So they seem to ramp up the emphasis on the comedy in the trailer.
Yeah. But
the online chatter is that it's not designed as a comedy. It's a drama with comedy elements. So they call it a dramedy.
Well, yeah. Okay. And
which may have resulted in some of the bad reviews it's gotten from critics because
the critics
they probably sat down to watch a Seth MacFarlane comedy and they didn't get that.
Yeah.
They got a kind of a drama show with
comedy aspects.
Yeah. With the fans, though, it's getting very positive views from the fans. They've watched it and they've
and when we say fans, obviously it's the pilot of a new series. It's not fans of the Orville. It's general science fiction
fans and
like ourselves.
Yeah. General audiences.
So I mean, it was the pilot. I like the aesthetics of it. It has a Next Generation feel. The ship is a comfortable ship.
I felt you mentioned the ship there. I felt with the ship at the back of it. I was waiting for a big green giant hand to pick up the back of it and carry it like a handbag. I mean, those 3 spikes at the back. It was like
the 3 curved engines.
3 curves, you know.
Yeah,
looks like a handbag.
Okay, so there's that. You know. Now you know what I feel like about the Discovery. You know, it's the same kind of feeling. I don't mind the Orville being an odd, different type of ship because it's not a Star Trek show. There's no preamble. There's no previous show to say, well, it has to be this design aesthetic. So the Union, it's not the Federation, it's the Union. In this particular show, having that style of ship, it doesn't bother me. And even the shuttlecrafts are basically, it's like a bus or what we call a lorry over here with 2 curved engines sitting like spoilers at the back. Okay, so that's their design aesthetic. That's what they've gone. They've had to be different. They can't be the classic Enterprise resources section, secondary hull, 2 warp nacelles, the Star Trek look. They can't do Galaxy Quest because they're not Galaxy Quest.
They're not Galaxy Quest.
There's elements of it. And apparently I think I bypassed somewhere that because the Orville has been successful with the fans, they're now kickstarting the Galaxy Quest TV show again.
Yeah, just talk of it already. Yeah,
really? I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, so because they'd put it back on the shelf and say this is not going to work. But now that the Orville is getting good fan reviews. Yep. Oh, sorry. Because the Orville's getting good fan reviews, they're now going, oh, well, maybe we'll make...
Is it a bit quick, though? Like, it's just after the first episode to make that decision, you know? I mean...
Yeah, well...
It probably needs a little bit more time.
Well, they've taken an awful long time with Galaxy Quest, so...
Yeah, but a little more time watching how the Orville develops and seeing just how successful it is, like, you know?
Well, we've just watched the pilot, and that's all we've seen. That's all anyone's seen, besides whoever's made it. So what did you think of what did you think, Frank, of
the show first?
First viewing.
Of the aesthetics and the visuals, I thought pretty good. Yeah. I mean, it's a good looking show, you know, and you can see that they put a decent budget into it. The timing of the comedy didn't work for me. It's the more serious aspects of the show, I think, could work, but I think that type of comedy maybe works in a half-hour show. You know what I mean? That's designed to be a comedy show, but for me, it felt a little off pace with some of the jokes and the way they came in. Yeah, and the timing of them just didn't work for me. I felt like, you know, that some of the jokes felt forced. So, we have to remember that this is like a we need some comedy in this, so like just stick this joke in here or stick that joke in there, and
so it's like we've had 10 minutes of drama. We need that 30 seconds of comedy stuck in there. I felt that I think that the comedy feels a little bit tagged on. There's some lines, there's some jokes in there that they didn't get a laugh out of me, but they got that snort, that kind of that was funny.
Yeah, for me as well, a couple of occasions. But having said that, I think it's got potential. Like,
I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it succeed. It's got a warm feeling to it. It does have Seth MacFarlane as he does, because with his other characters and his other shows, he does the drone on drivel, verbal diarrhea element to the captain. I think, but for me, the character from the pilot that I just have the kind of, rolling the eyes, for God's sake, feeling to the character is, do we have to deal with one of these? Is Lieutenant Malloy, the red haired, red bearded helmsman, who's this amazing helmsman, but he just talks so much ass, and I think he's going to get. Well, for us, I'm not sure. I open it up to you. I think for me, he's going to get very tired very quick.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's going to depend on the writing. I mean, the character himself is fine, and he's a good actor. That particular actor, again, some of the lines he had goes back to the humour being forced, I think. Yeah. If they ease off on that, maybe make him less of a character. He was almost like a caricature.
I think he needed to
be a helmsman, I
think he needed to be humanized a little bit more, like pulled back from the extreme comedy. Especially his introduction scene on the holodeck, well, their version of a holodeck, whatever they're going to call it, in his samurai Dungeons and Dragons fight the ogre scene. The swordplay wasn't too... Okay, I'm a swordsman. So the swordplay wasn't that bad. The moves were okay.
That aspect you wouldn't know, because he's in a holodeck, you know what I mean? He's probably not a swordsman.
Well, and I'm just talking about kind of aesthetics for me on that particular fight. But it was when Ed comes in and tells him, I've got a ship. It's called the Orville, and he's just over the top. Oh my God, that's so amazing! Oh my, and he's touching, oh my God, oh God, do you believe this? And he says it to the ogre, who's this, over the top nice guy character that he's programmed, which is okay, fair enough. But it's like, I'm so happy for you guys. That I was just watching that, going, this is not funny. Yeah. This doesn't.
A bit cringe-worthy, in fact.
It didn't get to the point where I was like, oh God, I have to cringe now. It didn't get to that point, but it was borderline. Is this necessary? Is this a good introduction to a character? I'm not going to suggest how you would have introduced the character, and then the beer joke. him having a beer while driving the shuttle.
That was kind of nonsense, you know.
Was that just to fill time?
The beer joke, was absolutely. And then you go to when he meets, can't think of her name, the XO, her character's name is, and they go to the whole, I'm going to pee, I need to pee, and all this kind of stuff. It was like there was a little bit of Tyler humor in it, which I was on my way be fine for like Family Guy or something of that nature, but in a sci-fi dramedy, I don't think it works either, you know.
Well, toilet humor works to a certain level, and maybe that there's humor, people with that humor, that funny bone that like Wesley Crusher worked as a character introduction to the next generation. For me, there's a certain amount of toilet humor that works to people on a certain level.
Well, see, that's McFarlane's shtick, isn't it? The toilet, uncomfortable, cringy humor. Yeah,
dragging a scene on that little bit too long just to make you kind of shift in your seat and go, and then trying to break the silence, or even just letting it linger and then cutting that little bit too late from the scene.
See, a bad introduction to a character like that will colour your perception of the character for the rest of the rest of the show.
Well, we see, because this is just the pilot, and if the pilot was shot as a pilot and then they commissioned the series, like it used to be done all the 60s, 70s, 80s, and the 90s, and then when they actually go to episode 2, a lot of things have changed because it was reviewed and this has happened and that was said, and then they changed things. So maybe hopefully that character will change and become a little bit more human and a little bit less OTT. Now, of course, we're coming from a point of view where, from an Irish point of view, and this is obviously everything's written for the Americans, and we're watching their show. Do you think there's an aspect of that in there?
I suppose he's probably aimed at the kind of the everyman, the blue collar helmsman or whatever.
Okay.
So it'll be why he's drinking beer at 9:15 in the morning.
I'm having a beer. I'm nervous. I'm going to a new ship. I want to make a good impression.
Yeah, and he's also, the captain's obviously his mate. So
he thinks it's okay.
We're mates. We can do these kinds of things.
Yeah.
The soda joke that kind of didn't work for me.
The soda. This is the John, the navigator.
Yeah.
Yeah. The previous captain let me drink soda on the bridge. Can I still do that?
Here I am.
And I'm making a point of taking a sup from my straw while I'm flying the ship.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it necessary?
No.
Is it a time filler?
For me, I think that was even in the trailer, but I can't remember. But when I saw the trailer, and I started posting on it, I said, it looks cheesy and very 90s is the feel I got from it.
Yeah.
And that is real 90s humor. To me, that's what that is. And I don't know about American audiences. We should all have
very baggy, colourful shirts then.
Yeah, I don't know about American audiences. Maybe it still works for them, but I think, we've gone past that.
Okay.
There's a lot of comedy out there now that is really clever writing-wise. You get dialogue that, is funny.
Yeah.
But it's not basic the way that is, for me, tough. I think they could really work on that. It could still be a dramedy, but they need to make their humor more sophisticated.
Yeah, there's another dramedy that started off as a comedy but ended up turning into a dramedy, and that's, I think, when I stopped watching. Actually, I stopped watching it because of a certain episode, and that's The Big Bang Theory. The Big Bang Theory, I watched it religiously. Season 1 is amazing. The jokes, absolutely fantastic. And they're little.
That's a great example, though, because as you say, but when you look at that, what made it funny was the writing and how they wrote the characters, the dialogue, the byplay between the different characters.
Yeah,
they didn't do an awful lot of, I'm going to drink a soda on the bridge, or I'm going to do it. There wasn't much of that in it.
Making a point of the character said something, then we're going to hang a lantern on it later on to show that he actually goes and does that. But what I'm trying to get at with The Big Bang Theory was I got very disappointed with, and Bill Prady has written so many great shows. I can't remember this writing partner for The Big Bang Theory, but season 1 and so many of the early seasons, they just resonated, I think, with geeks, and it became such a geek popular show. Yeah. But then when it became popular in the mainstream, they stopped writing the intelligent comedy and started writing a lower level comedy. I don't want to be insulting to certain people, but and it became less of a comedy, and then all the characters moved into the drama element, and it became the relationship comedies. and I think it lost a lot. And then an episode that really annoyed me, that I felt was not comedy, and this ties into talking about comedy, the Orville, and Star Trek. There was an episode of The Big Bang Theory, I think it was season 6, unsure, where the four main characters were going to a Star Trek convention. Harold was dressed as a Borg, and the
Leonard was Picard.
And Sheldon was Data.
Yeah.
And Raj, okay, what was Raj?
Worf.
He was Worf. So they had these amazing, and they were a Novos. They were in Novos costumes. So
They're
they were
expensive costumes.
They're expensive costumes. They're they're the licensed, limited edition things that you can buy. So they were proper costumes. They fit them well, and they look great. But the story that they wrote about them, it just really made me feel, as a Star Trek fan, as someone who loved these characters, and someone who had similar tough time in school, over my fandom and my love of this, and then they created comedy out of that bad feeling, in such a way that these guys they hit hard times on the way to the convention. They don't make it. Then they're walking through the desert in their costumes. And then these jocks drive by and throw slushies over them, throw their drinks over them, and even if most people don't understand the quality of those costumes, I knew the quality of those costumes, even if they weren't a Novos in the Big Bang Theory universe. My point is, they made comedy out of what is heartbreaking for a cosplaying geek.
It fell back on stereotype.
It just went so badly back on stereotype.
It really did. It was like, oh, let's make fun of these. Instead of having comedy that's funny because of a situation they're in or how they deal with that, they decided, let's make fun of these people.
Exactly.
And so it was a real turnaround that. Yeah, I would agree. It kind of turned me off Big Bang.
I stopped watching after that. There was another episode, and then it was the very end of that episode that they went back to geek lives in his mom's basement jokes, which really just made me feel horrible again. Because they're sitting in this cafeteria or this diner on the side of the road, and they're sitting there and they're wallowing because of the shit that's happened to them. And then the sheriff walks in, and I think he says something like, "Do you want me to call your mom for you?" Like, these guys are all they're functioning physicists. They're highly intelligent people in their universities. They've got tenure positions and whatnot. They're doctors, and they've got Harold's got a master's. But they go, your man goes, "Do you want me to call your mom for you?" And Harold goes, No, you're fine. Harold is sorting it out. And then Harold walks in and goes, "Okay, I just phoned my mom." And it was just like, could they have not phoned Penny or someone else? Why did they have to bring it down to that level? And then to finally finish off on my Big Bang Theory rant in the middle of the Orville episode, there was an episode where Harold went to space. He didn't have a good time, but they asked Harold to pitch at a baseball game. And he came up with the clever idea of using a rover. And this guy's, he's an engineer. But in the end of the episode, they show him in the middle of the ballpark, and everyone's there to see him throw this ball. And he knows that physically he can't throw this ball. But the joke that they wrote was that Harold's standing there with the remote control for the Mars rover copy, and he puts the ball in the thing, and then he drives it forward, and the thing goes 2 miles an hour, or just real slow, and the whole ballpark's looking at them, and he's being laughed at. An equally funny joke would have to have made him feel better about the whole situation. He could even have fucked up a little bit by installing a robotic arm to throw the ball, and it shorts out and it just fucks the ball at the baseball player and it goes through the back fence. But he still would have achieved, there would have been a comedy element in there. There would have been an element of, okay, he's done something not great, but he would have just knocked that ball straight through. But instead, they brought him back down again. They just they put him under the boot heel.
Yeah.
And I think that's a danger when you're going for the mass American audience. It's like they're writing for the jocks instead of the geeks.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think that's the danger for the Orville as well.
Yeah. At the start of Big Bang Theory, they made comedy to laugh with these guys in a situation.
Yeah.
And then at one stage, at some point, they turned into you laugh at them.
Yeah.
Which is something that geeks and nerds or whatever have put up with all their lives, and to have it back enshrined in
something, but and then again with the Big Bang Theory, it was something that you loved, and then they just threw it. It's like throwing pie back in your face.
Yeah, it sounds like we all kind of switched off around the same time. So there was obviously a break in that show with the fan base.
Yeah. Yeah, and they've written more for mainstream. I don't know. They're still making money. They're still making the show. I don't know if it's been cancelled yet. It's 10
I don't know. I mean,
10 years.
I haven't watched it since that time either. I've heard that they've gone back the other way.
Right.
From what I've heard now, I think they've corrected that. But
there was 2 or 3 seasons there where they really were writing for the jocks.
They were writing for the mainstream audience. Like they forgot their original target audience really.
Yeah.
And it's a real shame, like, you know what I mean? Because before that,
and the actors, I mean, I'm not belittling the actors, or the people who make the show, because I know that the boys in the show took a pay cut because the girls weren't getting paid as much as them.
Yeah.
So there are like all the characters, the girls and the guys now are all on equal pay.
That's pretty cool.
Like I think it was like Friends, they were all on equal pay.
Yeah.
But the girls weren't getting the same amount of money as the guys, and the guys actually took pay cuts and sent it to the girls.
Right.
They could send some of that to the crew as well. That'd be a nice idea. But anyway, they did that, so that's great for those actors. I think it's very altruistic of those actors to do. I just think the stories that they had for a couple of years there really, and we've just discussed it now. We turned this off. So for the Orville, I hope there's a danger that they could go down that road, and I hope they don't. There was great dramatic elements to it.
Yeah.
There was silly dramatic elements to it, like standing in the middle of the atrium, shooting your laser gun at the bad guy.
They can't even shoot as well as stormtroopers say. Hey, we're bad.
The whole show, though, it did feel very comfortable to watch.
Yes.
It was like, okay, we recognize what this is, and we recognize what they're trying to do, and we can appreciate and understand it. So so we can point where we think they're going wrong and stuff, because this is all very familiar territory to us.
Yeah. Well, I felt like getting back to the start of the episode where we're talking about the aesthetics, the color tones are very Next Generation. It feels warm. It feels inviting. They've got beige tones on the bridge as well, like the Next Generation, which Billy Connolly mightn't like, but I think it's inviting. It makes you. It's a comfortable color to be around.
Yeah.
And obviously the whole bridge layout. Well, we immediately, you commented the first time you saw it, and you went, dual seats on the bridge.
Yeah, twin seats. Yeah.
Twin command seats.
Yeah.
And it goes back to the Voyager discussion we had. I don't know whether that one was recorded or not, where we were discussing the fact that chicken and the egg. They knew Chakotay was coming on from Voyager, and the designers designed this bridge for 2 captains, which was never seen before, and it was like the designers in the Utopia Police Yards, when they were designing and building Voyager and stuck that bridge module in, it was like, there's going to be 2 captains on this bridge.
Yeah.
Where no other ship in Starfleet history had two
tandem
seats.
Yeah.
It was and it was completely designed because that's what the script had written, instead of kind of going, okay, hang on a second, let's organize something that could be used in such a way, but still have the captain's seat center. This again seems to be, they knew from the get-go that it's going to be the captain and his ex-wife sitting side by side, and they want to be able to shoot that 2-shot. And not have her off to the side or standing on his shoulder the whole time. They want to have that kind of it's a bridge designed for a married couple. Or
you can see that the relationship between the two of them is going to be one of the core storylines, I would think. There.
When the opening is, he walks home, opens the bedroom door, she's banging this, Papa Smurf. How do you get blue out of a lampshade? A white lampshade.
That's what I think. Obviously, a concept art must have been the captain sitting in his chair looking grumpy.
Yeah.
Next to his ex-wife, which is what we got on the screen.
Exactly. Yeah.
So hence we got these double seats.
We got twin bridge seats. So okay, it's the aesthetic. It was established in Star Trek with Voyager. So we'll go along with it. I think I don't know who the actress is, but I think she's, from watching the pilot of the Orville, she is great with her eyes.
Yeah,
like the comedy she's throwing out from her eyes, and just tilted the head. They do McFarlane and the girl playing his wife. They do have a great. There's a good chemistry there.
Yeah.
There's definitely a chemistry. Like the whole, it's in the trailer. The whole, we need not fear the banana. That whole interaction between the two of them. The timing on that was fantastic.
That was good.
That was really good. And it was her eyes and then her tilt to the head when she, looked to him and then back to them. That was wonderful. That was a great comedy on that. So I hope they keep that element of the comedy.
Well, that's it. And that's just the kind of comedy you're looking at there, where the writing is good. Like, you know what I mean? They're using the character interaction and the chemistry that they have to work that comedy. Whereas, the stuff with Malloy and the beer and the sodas, they can get rid of that. You know what I mean? It doesn't really work. And the gelatinous figure, what the hell is that about?
I think that's just
sorry, man. What's the story? Really?
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, the Amber Goo guy. Yeah. Is he going to, is he just there for that joke, or is he going to actually be a recurring character?
No, I read somewhere where he's a recurring character.
Is he? Right, okay. Yeah. But I think he's going to be like he's going to be the butt of a joke.
Yeah.
We need gel guy. He's going to drip through the roof or something like that. He's going to, he's going to wander into the bathroom and someone's going to be coming out of the shower and he's going to end up falling down the drain and they'll have to get him out of the sewage dump or something like that. And that'll be, a comedy story, toilet humor comedy storyline. If they haven't written that episode, I'd like to say that my name is Jonathan East and I've pitched an...
Well, I just hope he doesn't sleep in a bucket. He starts oozing through things and then shapeshifts into a bag. Okay, I didn't even twig that. Yes, he could be an Odo reference. Yeah,
But I mean, this show's got some muscle behind the scenes, so it should do well. Jon Favreau
from Iron Man.
Brandon Braga, and a lot of ex-Star Trek alumni coming back for producing and directing. Yeah,
and Johnny Frakes is part of it.
And I hear there's going to be guest appearances as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You do tend to research a bit more than I do at the minute.
Yeah.
Has it got commissioned for a full season?
As far as I know, they've shot the full.
The full season, is it? Is it 13 or 20?
I think it's 13 episodes.
13.
They haven't done the full 26, but
okay. Well, it's not 26 anymore. It's all it's 20s now.
Yeah.
So they got 13 episodes, and if it's successful enough, they'll give money for another 7, and they'll get 20, which is a current season. Okay. Well, I mean, I will watch episode 2. I will go and I will go and watch more. I
will too. Don't get me wrong with my critiques now. I just feel that there's elements of it that don't work. But I did enjoy it. I mean, as you said, it was a comfortable watch. I sat there and kind of said, there's a lot of elements here that work. There's just a few that don't, particularly from the humor aspect of it. But who knows? I mean, that was the first. They may tweak and improve that as they go on. Yeah.
Alan, we've got 30 seconds left.
It's like we said earlier, it took the Next Generation 2 or 3 seasons to find its feet. We'll give it a chance. Okay, this has been the Orville special podcast from the USS Cuchulain, the USS Cuchulain-Cast. I've been John. I've been Alan.
And I've been Frank.
Hopefully we'll see you next time.
Ciao.
Like and subscribe. Down the bottom.
Or even subscribe and like.
Do that too. Take it easy, guys.
Join the crew.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.